Yo, everybody. Welcome to the Happy Hour Sobriety Podcast. My name's JJ. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. Today I got my friend Marshall that I've known for a couple years now. We started this journey a little around the same time. I was here a little before, but the way it goes is when you find somebody that you can really relate to, you guys stick together. Well, he's become a great friend, a brother. You know, we ride in the motorcycle ministry together, and it's been such a blessing to watch him grow and be a light at the end of the tunnel for these guys. He sponsors multiple people. He has a strong 12-step program in his life, and he has a relationship with God. And to all the viewers, thank you so much for tuning in every week. I mean, truly, I think we're up to 3,000 views on each of the videos added up between all the platforms. So let's keep it going, man. Thank you so much. Here's my friend Marshall.
What's up, fellas? This is Marshall. I'm an alcoholic and addict. I remember when I started this journey, and I just remember how scared I was of everything. Like, the isolation for me was real. Like, you wouldn't see me except maybe at work or meetings, and other than that, I was hid in my room, like just terrified of my own shadow for months on end. I remember the first time I actually met JJ, he barked at my mom, actually. That's a funny story about him, but I always love to share how far we go back.
Yep.
But like I said, my name's Marshall. I'm an alcoholic. A little bit about my past. I started my drinking career at a pretty young age, actually. I think I had my first drink when I was probably 8 or 9. I came from a relatively, I guess you would say, liberal upbringing. My parents were, they're normies, but they always held the belief that, well, you're a kid, you're gonna do it, so we'd rather you do it here where we can keep an eye on you. My dad would give me sips of beer from a young age, and I mean, like, I hated it for the longest time. Like, I didn't actually start drinking to get drunk until later. The first time I think I remember getting really drunk was probably around 15 or 16. Just spending the night at a friend's house, and he nicked a bottle of like strawberry wine from his parents, and we just, between like 2 or 3 of us, we pounded that all night long and just got tore up. And it was just, that's kind of how my journey got started. Alcohol has always kind of been my main DOC. But I did everything. I've done everything from cocaine to crack. I've fucking done bath salts before, and it was hell. And that was the first time I started thinking that, shit, maybe I have a problem. Just the hopelessness that I felt in some of those moments. Everything from having a gun in my mouth to calling my older sister sobbing because I was scared of my own shadow, and that just kind of brings back just everything that I went through. I was raised in a real small town, but so there was really nothing to do there except drink and do drugs pretty much the whole time growing up.
Do you believe when you first found alcohol, was it like that I have arrived feeling? Like, did it take away the things that you had going on in your life? Like, how did that feel for you first start drinking?
When I first started, I would say it kind of started off as a, like, every once in a while type thing. Like, hey, I'm hanging out with the boys, we're going to get shit-faced, and it was just kind of a release from the monotony of my day-to-day life. I was unaware of a lot of the problems that I later found out that I was hiding from.
What
And
were some of them problems? Like, were you good at school? Were you bad at school? Were you
I
a cool kid? Did you play sports?
I was I was that kid that the teachers always said that I had a lot of untapped potential. I remember growing up. I'm the youngest. My of two of us. I mean, my older sister. She was valedictorian of our high school, and and she's only a couple years older than I am. So I had a lot of the same teachers that she did, and I got a lot of teachers that would be like, "Your sister did so well in this class. I know you can do better than what you're doing."
Right. So you were kind of living under her shadow.
Yeah.
You know, like they were expecting you to be like her because
Yeah.
she already cleared the way.
Yeah,
but you
absolutely.
weren't. So with your, you said you were doing it just to get numb. And when did you realize to move forward in your story? And that's where you were going with it. But where did you realize that now alcohol has become a necessity, that you had to go with it? You couldn't go without it. You were every day in your life that it was to brought you to that dark place.
Oh, when I first, it's kind of twofold. When I should have came to that realization, and when I actually did, when I probably should have come to that realization, I don't even think I was 21 yet. That was the first time I started experimenting with really heavy drugs. And that I briefly mentioned that time I called my sister crying because I just had a gun in my mouth. That's probably when I should have realized that, hey, this is a problem. This has become something that's unmanageable in my life. But when I actually realized it wasn't for, God, a good decade later, I think. I kept pushing and fighting for about a whole decade. And I didn't really come to the realization that this was a problem and this is something that I need to actually address until about 3 years ago, when I got sent to jail for the first time. When I'd been to jail before, minor stuff, shoplifting charge, just one night in jail, PR out, go home, carry on with my life. But when I got big boy charges and I had to sit there, that's when I finally started realizing this is something that I can't keep doing anymore.
Right.
Because it might kill me.
Of course, man. So it's we talked a little bit about alcohol. So now you have brought into in their story about how it moved to and it progressed to heavier drugs. I know for me, I say an alcoholic and an addict because anything that I put in my body that alters the mind is something that I shoot for.
Yeah.
Today I can realize that. So in your story is you started it was progressing, it was getting heavier and heavier, and now you are now into catching heavier charges. Do you feel that with like the crowd you were with, all the things that you were doing, the drugs and lost, seeing shadow people, thinking that the police peeking out the blinds, like, hey, are they out there? You know what I mean? It's that's not the way that anybody should live. But like, where were you at in that spot? Like, tell me a little bit about like the 24 hours to come to realize before you got locked up, like how bad it was.
Oh boy. It would take a little more than 24, the first 24 hours. It really got at its worst probably during COVID because everyone was out of work. I'd gotten laid off from my job for COVID protocol and everything, but I was still pulling a check from it. So, I mean, I'm just sitting at house with free money in my pocket. We're getting all those stimuluses too, so money's not really an issue at this point. So what is there to do? I'm locked in the house 24/7, can't go anywhere, can't do anything. Hey, there's this wonderful little elixir that I can drink that'll pass the day. And that's when I started day drinking. I started using just all the time, 24/7. I'm on something. And it kept building up on that. It kept taking more and more and more and more. Got to the point where I was drinking, like, as you can see, I'm not a big guy. I think at the time I might have weighed $120 if I'm lucky. And it was taking a half gallon of liquor to get me through the day. And I mean, I prided myself on that for the longest time. It was just like, hey, I can drink people twice my size under the table without trying. But it just kept building up on that. I kept having to drink more, do more, use more, until the point where money started running out. The checks from work stopped coming. The stimulus checks stopped coming. So now I gotta have this stuff. I gotta at least have a half a gallon of liquor to get me through the day.
Right.
Otherwise, like I'm shaking. I'm gonna lose my mind. Yeah,
you're
like
gonna be sick as a dog, and you
can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm just emotionally ruined. There were times where I would fight with my wife, yell and scream at my kids for no reason other than they just wanted to spend time with me. And
restless, irritable, and discontent.
All the time. And it ended up getting to the point where I remember the day I got locked up, probably a lot more clearly than I should, but we were day drinking. It was Sunday, and the kids were just running around outside, and my ex-wife, she said something to me that it rubbed me the wrong way. So I said something back, and it rubbed her the wrong way. And we started shouting at each other, and she walked off in a huff and threw like a piece of paper or some water on me or something. And I threw a shoe at her. And the escalation was just like that. Ended up getting into a physical altercation to where the police were called. And once the police were called, because my kids were involved, now DSS is also involved. So they automatically have to do an interior home check to where they saw the true scope of where my addiction had led me to. I took a relatively nice 3-bedroom, 1-bath house in a relatively quiet part of town, and I turned that shit into a trap house. Had a pile of garbage in the living room that was almost as tall as I am. Like, and I'm 6 foot. So it had gotten so bad without me realizing it. And I didn't really realize it until the cops showed up. And when they said, hey, we gotta look in the house and see what the living situation is like, I was like, fuck. Just right there. I knew right then, right there, that it's going to be bad.
It's going to be bad.
It's going to be bad.
So when you're here, and your story is that alcohol is your master.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has altered everything and every communication and every feeling in your body. Everything you do, your drive is fully for the drugs and the alcohol. So while you're there, that oh man, like I'm hit moment, like there's no explaining it, but the best way, how would you explain that lost feeling in your heart, that oh man, I'm hit, even though the alcohol has you by the balls, but you're about to now have to go face some things, charges. You're going to also have to have DSS involved, and then now it's about to happen. Like, what was that like, man? Like,
it was hell. I mean, I remember sitting in the back of the cop in the police car. Just, I wished I could cry, but I was so emotionally dead and numb from everything that I'd been doing for so long that I couldn't shed a tear. Like, I mean, I was sad. I was feeling the emotions, but I couldn't actually get that release that crying like a baby would have actually given me.
And I ask that question because I know today the love that you have for them babies, and I
Yeah,
know everything that you did was because of the drugs and alcohol. You know, like these things that we're pointing out in life is so that the viewers, you know, that are listening can relate and say, okay, I've been there. I have battled a DSS catch, or I'm going through one now. You're that light. Because in a little when we go forward a little more in your story, you're going to be able to tell them how good it is and how great your God is because you have overcome these obstacles.
absolutely.
You know, and that's why I wanted to point out is, you know, while you're sitting in the back of that police car and you feel hopeless and to the point that you can't even feel, you can't even cry,
Yeah,
like you said, is that you not being able to cry is you're so numb and you're so altered in your mind from the drugs and alcohol. You know, what would you say to the viewers in the sense of like, if that person's in that situation now, what is one thing that you would say to them?
there is light at the end of the tunnel. There absolutely is. Just the thing that I ran from and hid from for so long was those feelings that in the back of that police car I wanted to feel so desperately just so I could be done with it. Was just I continuously ran from those feelings, and that was a large part of why I started using drugs and alcohol. But just feel those feelings, get it over with, rip the Band-Aid off, and you will 100% feel better once it's all said and done with.
That's right.
Having that realization that it's not that bad. I've heard I don't remember where I originally heard this story from, but there's the difference between cows and buffaloes. Um, when there's a storm coming, if you have a herd of cows and a herd of buffaloes, the cows they'll run away from the storm. They're hauling ass trying to get away from it, and that storm's it's coming, regardless of if they want it to or not. That storm's coming, so they're running away from the storm. They get tired, they fall down, they get exhausted, and that storm passes over them anyway. And now they're just so done with it all that storm passes over them. But then if you have buffaloes, they run straight at that storm. They power through it, they face it head on, and because they're running through the storm, they get it over with a lot quicker than the cows do.
That's great. That's a great metaphor, man.
That's really what I should have been doing the whole time, was just facing my problems head on instead of running away from them.
You know, and in the book that we read, you know, is it talks about, you know, we don't regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it.
Absolutely.
You know, I believe your story has taken you to a place in your life that you would have never been, and the person you never would have been without your experience.
Oh, absolutely. Without going through everything that I went through, without experience all the drugs and alcohol that I did, not that I recommend it to anyone, but without going through everything I did, I would absolutely not be the person I am today. I would be a complete shell of the person that I am. It gave me a lot of perspective. It gave me a lot of knowledge on topics that no school can give you. No doctor can look you in the eye and tell you that what you're going through is whatever they may say, because they haven't lived it. Whereas because I've lived through it, I've gone through the same things that a lot of our viewers have gone through, I can look them in the eye and tell them with complete and utter certainty that it'll pass. It'll get through. You just gotta face that storm head on and power through it, and then it's all sunshine on the other side.
Right. So was this, you know, back to your story and to keep moving forward, was that last time, like that you were sitting in the back of the police car, was that your last time and then you came into recovery?
I wish I could say that.
Right.
That would be a great victory story. No, actually, I got fucked up in jail too.
Right.
Because I was still, like, even through it all, like, just sitting in jail, I still hadn't come to that realization. I was still fighting the fact that I got a problem. I can beat this myself. I can beat this my way. I just need a little drink first. So I think the first or second day that I was in general population, one of the guys in my pod got a bottle of Lysol from the cleaning cart, sprayed it into a cup, cut it with some soap, and started drinking it. And he offered me some, and I was like, this isn't going to kill me, right? And he was like, probably not. I was like, does it get you drunk? And he was like, absolutely. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. And then there was a couple weeks later, a month later, something like that, a bunch of the guys in the pod made a bunch of buck, which is prison wine. And I gave like 2 soups and a bag of coffee to get a 20-ounce bottle of that. Drank all of that, and that got hammered drunk in jail. And then there were times where people who were taking Adderall, Ritalin, that kind of shit, they would save their meds and sell it to people in the pod for soups or honey buns, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I took that too. I was still running. I was still trying to find something to just ease the run from the feelings, ease the monotony from all of that. I got arrested on September 26th, 2021. My sober date is actually November 25th, 2021.
Okay. So you, even though you were locked up, you were still finding.
I was still finding any way.
You were to the point in your life still to numb the pain and that hurt in your life that you're willing to give the food that supplies you everyday necessities for something that you can go without, but you don't realize it because that master, the alcohol is your master and the drugs are your master. That you're like, I'll do whatever it takes. So I'll take food out of my mouth. I will take hygiene off my body. I'd rather stink, and then to get this next thing.
Absolutely.
So you're sitting in jail. You know that you don't know you have a problem yet, but you're saying, hey, in your story that it has overcome to the point now that you have a clear head. You could see it, and you work a 12-step program, but now you can see it that it was a problem.
It was a huge problem. Just the beginning of my recovery journey, it started out as a foxhole prayer, as it often does.
Yeah, I remember them days.
I was in my bunk. I think I just finished a good cry. And I was just crying out for some sign to anything. Like, how do I go on from here? What do I do now? Because I started talking to my mom again from jail, and she was like, I love you, but I'm not bailing you out, and when you do get out, you can't come home. Because
thank God for your mom.
Thank God for my mom.
Thank God for her putting her foot down, saying, like, there's no way you're coming here. There's no way you're going to continue to do this around us. Look at the chaos that you've stirred in our lives.
It wasn't even that don't get me wrong, I brought tons of chaos around my mom, but she wasn't the main one I brought it around. Because I've been living on my own in some way, shape, or form since I was like 20. But she knew, and this was the biggest, one of our principles in recovery is brotherly love like you would have for family. The biggest showing of that she ever gave me was when I called her that first day from jail and was like, hey, please God, bail me out. Get me the fuck out of here. I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And she said, no, you're gonna sit. That was the biggest showing of brotherly love. And then another one was when she said, you can't come home when you do get out. Huge showing of brotherly love, because that was really the kind of kick in the ass that I really needed at that point in my life. To, like, my own mom doesn't want me to come home. My mom does not want me to live with her, is not willing to let me live with her because of the shit show that I brought upon the family.
That's right. And that's what I was pointing out. It's like, imagine being a mom, watching her, the baby she loves, destroying their lives. It's so big, is we don't realize the turmoil that we cause people in their lives. It might not be that we weren't living with them or we didn't show up around them, but they're still in the back of the mind, how's my baby doing, you know?
Yeah.
And then now she's finally able to rest because she knows you're in jail and you're safe. And it's like, okay, I don't have to get that phone call, is he dead?
Yeah.
You know, did he OD? Did somebody kill him? Is he going to murder somebody else on his own? You know,
Yeah.
so now that, you know, you're sitting in jail, you made the call, your mom's saying, I ain't going to let you come out. You're not coming here. You did your foxhole prayer. You said, please, God, get me out of here. Like, what happened next?
The answer to that foxhole prayer was, I didn't really realize it at the time, but I'd gotten so bored. The booze and the drugs had run out. I wasn't able to get any more. I'd used all my fucking commissary for that already. So I'm not going to give up the 3 squares that I'm guaranteed. I'm not going to give up a whole trade for that stuff. So I had some sense, I guess. But I was so bored and I didn't have any money on my books. So the only books available to me were the Bible or the Quran. Hope I said that right for any Islam viewers out there. I was raised in the Christian church, so I was like, hey, the Bible's long. It's got stories in it. I can read that, if nothing else. So I read that, and I actually, the first chapter that I read was Jude. I would actually like to read that.
Of course.
Not the whole chapter, but the verse that really spoke to me was verses 20 through 25, Jude chapter 1, was, but you, dear friends, by building yourselves up in your most holy faith and praying in the Holy Spirit, keep yourselves in God's love as you wait for the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ to bring you eternal life. Be merciful to those who doubt. Save others by snatching them from the fire. To others show mercy, mixed with fear, hating even the clothing stained by corrupted flesh. To him who is able to keep you from from stumbling, and to present you before his glorious presence without fault and with great joy. To the only God our Savior be glory, majesty, power, and authority, through Jesus Christ our Lord, before all ages, now and forevermore. Amen.
Amen.
I remember reading that verse in jail, and it was just that light bulb that went off. And I was like, that was exactly the message that I needed to hear at that exact moment, at that exact point in my life. And I started devouring that book. I read the whole thing front to back, cover to cover, at least twice in the time from when I got it to when I got out. And ended up helping lead a Bible study in our pod. And that was what ended up getting me through those last 4 months, I think. And it made me feel like how I always wanted drugs and alcohol to make me feel.
There you
It
go.
filled that God-sized hole that I'd been trying to fill with everything else except that. Yeah. It's like I was trying to put a square through a round hole. And it just did not work for years and years and years. And when I finally found that circle piece to go in that hole, I was like, oh shit, I'm done. Yeah. And I finally refound my faith. And once I really found that and really got deep into it, while I was talking to my mom, I started asking her for chapters, verses that we could study in the Bible study, and she gave me a couple. One of them was the prodigal son story in I think it's 2 Corinthians. I think is where that is. It might be Matthew. I don't remember. And it started rebuilding that relationship I had with my mom. So once I started actually like cleaning up my act and living a more holy life, everything started falling into place the way that God's will had for me. Right. I wasn't happy in jail, but I was I was okay there. I know I will be okay. I'm getting food every day.
Right.
I can read my Bible to pass the time. I can work out, and
You're
I'm
not getting no bigger.
Still came out weighing like, I think I went from like a $1.20, $1.15, $1.20 to like a $1.25.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody like you that can eat as much food. I mean, dude,
It's
I can
ridiculous.
watch you eat a whole cow, and you put on like maybe 1 pound.
Yeah.
And then lose it after using the restroom.
Yeah.
So now that you're in jail, you're leading Bible studies, you're having a good time, you're rekindling with your mother already. After getting out, did you come to a program? Did you go to do something else?
Because as previously stated, my mom said you can't stay here. Once I originally got out, I got out February 14th. And I didn't have a program immediately lined up because we just the stars didn't align. I called several places. I actually called Solutions Recovery Center first. I think I got Donnie on the phone, and he could tell by the sound of my voice. I didn't have any intake money to come in, and he could just tell from how I was acting on the phone that I didn't really want it yet. I needed a place for a tune-up and an oil change. I was still fighting it a little bit, so I ended up going to Turning Point. And the one thing that I will actually be forever thankful for Turning Point for was it gave me perspective. It did do that, but eventually that didn't pan out because. They had me working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. So just one day I was like, look, I've been here about a month. I need a day off. Like to where I can just lay in bed and just watch TV and chill all day. So I did that, and that immediately flagged me for taking a drug test. And I failed that drug test. I will stand on this molehill, or stand on this soapbox and preach it till the day I die. I didn't use drugs, but it was absolutely 100% God's will for me to no longer be at Turning Point. They had done for me what they needed to do, give me the perspective of what I needed to really look for in my recovery that I needed, and so I got kicked out of there. Called Solutions, had just gotten my tax refund check from the IRS, so I had I had all the money that I needed to leave Turning Point and just move over to Solutions. And I talked to Donnie again, and he was like, "Get here tomorrow morning. We'll have a couch for you. You'll have to spend the night on the couch, but you should have a bed the next day or the day after that." And that was when my journey really started. May 15th, 2022.
Okay.
And that was when my true recovery actually began. When I came home, that's how I look at it now. I mean, I'll spend a night at my mom's here and there. I'll go visit other family. I'll go do other stuff off property, but I planned for like 2 days to stay at like my mom's house. I want to come home like after that first night. Like this isn't my bed. This isn't where these aren't where my brothers are. Like I don't like there's nothing for me in Clinton anymore. So
you went in, you went to a program, they taught you perception, they did what, I believe in everybody's story that anywhere you go, you can learn something, and I'm glad your eyes are opened. And then, what works for some people is we have a lot of freedom at Solutions.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is I believe if you would have got out of jail and had so much freedom, you probably would have ended up doing what you did.
Yeah.
And so it worked for you. So now you realizing it because you're already farther along in your story, so it was a good stepping stone.
Yeah.
And then you come here. What does that look like to you? Going somewhere that it's all about programming, 7 meetings a week. You got to take notes. You got to, get a sponsor. You got to get a home group. Like, how did you find your first sponsor?
I found my first sponsor. I found Justin. Like, he lived right above me. So I mean, even when I was hiding, I still hid for a while when I first got here. It took me a while to kind of crack out of that shell. But my first sponsor, Justin, he lived right above me, and so I would actually see him, talk to him a little bit, and he's who taught me what the dash was, and kind of coached me through writing that. And after I'd finished that, I asked him if he wanted to be my sponsor, and he agreed. And then I proceeded to not do any step work. I'm not gonna lie, I did not do any step work for like the next probably like 2 months.
Okay, to rewind a little bit,
yeah.
You talk about this thing called the dash. What's a dash? Just a quick
dash.
A quick thing of like what to do.
The dash is you take paper and write down every single lie that your addiction has ever told you. Stuff like, hey, go to the bar, you can have 1 beer and then head home. And then what actually happens and the consequences of what actually happened. You go to the bar, tell yourself the whole time that you're just going to have 1 beer. You get to the bar, have that 1 beer, another will be fine. Then another, then another, then another, then another. Now you're plastered, you drive home, you get a DUI, you wreck your car, something like that happens.
Right.
That's the consequence. You listened to that line. What the dash actually does is it gives voice to what your addiction actually is, because that's one of the biggest things about addiction. Is it's the only disease that will lie to you in your own voice. Like you hear hey, you can have 1 beer, it won't hurt, and you think that's your idea. You think that's you talking, but it's not. It's your addiction, it's the devil, it's whatever you want to call it. And it always leads to ruin for us addicts and alcoholics. It'll always lead you straight down that slippery slope that leads to the tornado that we let our lives become, destroying everything in our path.
So, you coming in, you get a sponsor, you do this little dash thing, you feel like you're doing some work, and so then you're in your part of your story you're talking about, then you didn't do any work, and I know today you would suggest, like, don't do what I do what I
do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
Yeah.
His biggest thing is because we're the few that, and I know a lot of people that are viewing us right now and listening in, they have that similar story.
Yeah.
Is we try our own way, because you take away that drug and the alcohol, you still have the person that was drugged and alcohol, and for this long.
The turnaround for me really was when I actually nutted up and did my 4th step. I ran from it for so long because I'm fine. I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
I am a normie. I don't belong here around these people. But when I actually nutted up, did that 4th step, the way we do it here is the first thing you do before you do any of that is the 4th step is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And you put the morals down first. Morals, godly characteristics, stuff that your higher power will look at and be like, in this, I am pleased. This makes me happy. Good job. I wrote down every good thing about myself that I could think about. And it was a shorter list than I wished it would have been. I ended up going around asking people like JJ, Drew, friends of mine here, that like, hey, what are say nice things about me. I need stuff for my 4th step. Say nice things about me. And I finished that sheet of paper, And then you get into the everything else, every bad thing, every bad thought, everything else that ran your addiction and ran your life for so long. And you write all that down. The reason you do the moral list first is because some of that shit gets heavy. It gets rough. But you have that good stuff to look at when, like, you're writing down stealing from your kid's college fund. You have the good stuff that really makes you who you are. The fact that you love hard, the fact that you give your shirt off your back for your brothers. You have all of that to fall back to look at when that fourth step gets hard, so you don't dwell on that bad shit. And once I actually sat down, did my fourth step, that was when my recovery actually really took off. Because I stopped being scared, I stopped running, and I started actually running through the storm instead of away from it.
So with you at a different spot, you're at that turning point in your recovery that you're putting pen to paper, you're getting out all the good, you're getting all the bad out. Now at this time, do you still have the same sponsor?
Yeah, I had Justin as a sponsor for my whole first year at Solutions. Once I went through all 12 steps with Justin, that I got a new sponsor after that, just so I could work through the steps from a different perspective. Moser on a previous episode, that's my current sponsor who's running me through the steps now, and just it's little kind of minute differences between how they view the steps and how they actually work them in their daily lives that gives me added perspectives to actually apply the stuff in my daily life that I may not have had otherwise.
That's right. So, with, coming through the steps and you're getting all these things out and you're sharing with a sponsor, in 5, and then in 6, you're looking at your defects, and then 7, you're at your shortcomings,
Yeah.
With you looking at this person and trying to realize who you need to become so that you be successful in that relationship, because you said while you were locked up, you generally built that relationship with God. So you found Him again, and then all of a sudden now with finding Him and now coming in, putting a little halt at your program, and then all of a sudden now that you're hitting the ground running,
Yeah.
What was that looking like for you to see, okay, this is what's blocking me, this is my good traits, and this is what I need to use, because a relationship is practice. You have to build
it. Well, how to say this? What really kept pushing me once I did that fourth step and fifth step and the sixth and seventh was what started pushing me was once I did that, especially once I did that fifth step and got a lot of that bad shit off of my own shoulders, was I started seeing true change in my life. I started rebuilding that relationship with other family members who bridges I thought I had burned all the way to ashes with no hope of ever recovering that. I started finding an inner peace in myself. I started seeing stuff that other people had been seeing in me for months now, and it kept driving me. Because once I started seeing the positive in my life, stopped looking at all the bad, and started seeing the positive, seeing the sun through the clouds, it pushed me to drive to want more. Like I want more of this. I want to be better for not just myself anymore. I want to be better for everyone around me now.
Right.
And
because eventually, in your story, and that's what I'm building up to, is you go and you got the blockage, what's blocking you from the light. You now have a great relationship with your Creator, whatever you choose to call him. I know you choose to call him God, but our viewers, what we learn is our own higher power. But by the time you're where you're at in our lives, is you better find him something other than just You know, hey, he's a doorknob, or
Yeah.
hey, he's this, or the world spins sideways and or flat sides, you know, and all this imagination. You better have a relationship to build.
You have to have something.
Because shooting in what we're going to now is, you know, in your story is like rekindling the relationships, you know, them amends. You know, you mentioned at the beginning of your story about your children. You know, I know, but I would like the viewers to know is like, how's that relationship going now with them?
It's been going great recently. I remember when I first got out of jail, the first time I saw my kids after I got out. I mean, by the time, like, I don't think I only saw them for like an hour, and just by the end of that hour, they were just like, okay, this was great, Dad. Let's go home with Auntie, my sister. Let's go home with Auntie and see you next time we see you. Like, yeah. they were just like,
so burnt out. Wow.
K, love you, bye.
Yeah.
Like, but it tears my heart out every time. Like, sometimes to the point where I almost don't want to see my kids. Now it's every time I go see them, it's tears at the end of the visit because they don't want me to go. They want to come back and live with Daddy. They want me to stay there for just a little longer, just another 5 minutes, and it's grown so much from where it was to the point where I don't think I've ever been as much of a dad to them as I have been now, to the point where I can't even describe how clean and pure the relationship I have with my kids is now. They know now that they can actually come to me for anything, and I'll drop whatever it is I'm doing.
That's right.
For them.
And that's what I wanted the viewers to hear is, you know, just because you're have ever been sitting in the back of a cop car or whatever you had in your life and battling a DSS case or whatever that you think is never going to happen, you now can be the light of that hope. And that's what this podcast is for, is to say, you know, I know your story, and that's why I brought you on, is because now hearing you on the phone with them, it's Daddy, I love you, Daddy, this, and you guys are joking and playing.
Yeah.
You guys see each other. It's a father and daughter, you know, and kid relationship, and it's not you hurting them or okay, let's just be over because there's no light, you know, and it's all God. You know, and they can see it in you. You're glowing again. You're happy. You have countless friends, you know, and to move a little farther along with in your story is what does a day of Marshall look like, you know?
Today?
Yeah, what are some happinesses in your life?
Every day is a new adventure for me now. Every day. It doesn't matter if I actually have anything planned or not. Like, before, when I was in active addiction, you would never find me outside of the house unless like I had to be. But now, like, I go searching out new experiences. I go looking for stuff. Last weekend I went to the zoo and had the best time of my life. I got to feed giraffes, my favorite animal. Fun fact about me. I have countless people that I can call on, like, hey, let's go do something. Let's go ride motorcycles. Let's go to the zoo. Let's go bowling. Let's go do something. Let's have fun and remember it the next day.
Yeah. Make good memories.
Yeah.
You know, a guy that was once never coming out of the house, a man that sat in a police car, a man that's been locked up is now part of a motorcycle ministry, gets to ride his motorcycle when he wants. He gets to have countless friends. He is accountable. He's trustworthy. You know, that's the thing.
It's
that
beautiful.
is truly, it's an honor to call you my friend.
Absolutely.
is because guys like you keep me going in my life. And that's why I want the viewers, and this is why I started the podcast, and I keep saying it every episode of the people that I come and bring on here, is you guys are the light in the darkness. There is not another place that I've been to that actually see the foot soldiers that are in my life today. You'll go when anybody calls, and they say the hand of AA should always be there when somebody reaches out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, us brothers are the ones that when somebody reaches out, we go.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing to watch. You sponsor people. You have a sponsor that has a sponsor. Like you said, Moser on the previous episode is your sponsor, and it shows. Working a 12-step program, how strong it is in your life. Look at it, dude. You get to hop on your motorcycle. You get to visit your girls when you have time. You get to you're accountable. You're full-time employed. You pay your bills. You get to have a life, man.
Yeah, it's been great. Just the meat of everything, the one thing that really holds this whole thing together that I never would have got anywhere else is a working knowledge of all the principles that are attached to these steps. The honesty, the hope, the faith, the courage, the integrity, willingness, humility, brotherly love, justice, perseverance, spirituality, and service. Like all those 12 principles that are attached to those 12 steps. Without that, I never would have. I could have worked the steps, but I don't think I would have truly understood any of it and been able to continue on the path that I'm on without a working knowledge of those principles, because without them, everything falls apart. Because now I know that I have to keep myself humble. I have to be willing to do stuff that originally I may not have wanted to do. I get to do stuff with a smile on my face now. Even if a year, 2 years ago, a month ago, I might have scoffed at the idea of doing something like this. Put me on camera in front of however many people.
You did it first. But now you get to walk with God.
Now I'm here getting to tell my story in front of thousands, potentially millions.
I hope so. One day.
Be great.
One day that would be great. You got to start little and you got to crawl before you walk. And I appreciate everybody that comes on the show and all the people that view this and share it. Is because people don't realize, and you can never put us in a category of service or, military service or police officers or firefighters. No, I'm talking about a whole different category of a hero. I'm talking about somebody that has been in the trenches, and somebody, just because we have an experience of where somebody's been, is the only people that can get somebody out is the ones that have been right where we've been.
Yeah.
I can help somebody get out of the trenches because I've been there. You can help them with a certain situation, and this podcast is only to let people know that
we're here to help, and we love you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Man. If you guys don't know Marshall, you can go on Facebook and find Marshall. He's one of my friends. Also, if you guys have any questions, feel free. I just started a Facebook Happy Hour Sobriety Podcast. It's opened up. Go and give a like. Definitely, if you have any comments or would like to share or like to hear anything from Marshall or any questions, feel free to write us on there.
Ask away.
I'm on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. That is Happy Hour Sobriety Podcast. Feel free to write us. If you're feeling alone, if you feel like there's no more and it's not worth going, well, we're here to tell you it is. And I really thank you for coming out this morning. It's for sure a blessing and an honor to call you a brother. Thanks, brother.
Love you.
Love you, friend.